Welcome to Trends Driving Network Designs here in the CCDA series. In this nugget, we're going to see if we can't identify some key trends that would really influence modern network designs. After all, if we understand what major drivers tend to be in a successful network design, we should have an advantage when we sit down and go to draft up a design ourselves. Now, because most of us that are watching this video are in the IT field, we tend to think about technology drivers as the reason we would design a new network or enhancements to an existing network. Yeah, sure, we're excited about technology. We want to take advantage of the latest in voice over IP or video over IP or wireless technologies. We'll cover technological drivers that are exciting today that are really driving designs, but I want to really emphasize business drivers. We want to make sure that when we design the network, we're not just designing it to take advantage of the latest, greatest, exciting technologies. We want to make sure that we are designing the network to really benefit the organization. We'll talk about some information technology challenges that we have today that really can influence our designs. We'll see what areas Cisco has been focusing on lately, and we'll wrap up this nugget by taking a look at ways in which you can measure. Anytime we see the word metric, we want to think about measuring just how successful our network design is. I mean, how are we going to rate it? What type of variables will we use to rate how effective a particular network design is? Now, the first business driver for your network design is typically a term that you've probably heard if you've ever spent any time around anyone in finance. It's return on investment. You see, this is a nice measure of whatever you did for the organization if it was financially viable. What return on investment is most often measured with is what was the gain from whatever you did minus the cost of whatever you did divided by the cost of whatever you did. So let's say you design some new technology for an organization and they determine you saved them $20,000 with that implementation, and it only cost them $5,000 to design. We divide this by that $5,000 to design, and you can see that there was a positive ROI on that particular investment. So, return on investment is a very critical driving factor for organizations when you start talking to them about a brand new network design or enhancements to the design. Will they get so-called bang for their buck with the network implementation? Governmental regulations are driving designs of networks more than ever. Have you heard of something called HIPAA? Yeah, this is a famous new government regulation, relatively new. It was invented in 1996. This is the Health Insurance Portability and Accountability Act, and this ensures that health organizations properly secure your medical records. So you can see how government regulations like HIPAA would drive designs. After all, maybe the medical organization wasn't going to put much stock in security infrastructures, and now they realize they could be heavily fined if they don't, so they're more interested in designing security into the network. And finally, competitiveness. The world of business, as we go through recession after recession, or great recession after recession, or heaven forbid, depression after depression, the world of business becomes increasingly competitive. And the more competitive businesses become with each other, the more organizations will look to their networking capabilities and they'll see if they can squeeze more efficiency and squeeze more ROI out of their organization to improve the bottom line. So things are more competitive in business than ever, and we see that being another business driver in modern network designs. Now it's time for us to get really excited about what drives network designs because we're going to take a look at technology drivers. Sure, what's happening in technology that really tends to influence modern network designs? Well, I'll tell you right now, networks have become borderless. Yeah, thanks to things like wireless technologies, thanks to amazing advancements in wide area networking and VPNs, individuals are getting accustomed to be able to work wherever they are located. If they're in a beach condo, if they're in a hotel, if they're at home, if they're at the office, if they're in a park or a courtyard at the office, if they're at a fast food restaurant, more and more individuals are working without borders, really holding them back. And this is a major technological area of influence. Now, how about virtualization? Sure, we hear this buzz term all the time. Let me show you one example of virtualization. I'm going to draw here two server cabinets. And then inside each of these server cabinets, we have these blade servers. We'll just say there's 3 blade servers in each of the server cabinets. On one of these blade servers, we might have 1, 2, 3 instances of Windows running, Windows operating systems. And maybe the virtualized environment, the virtualization software, notices that on this particular cabinet, there's a low rate of utilization. Because over here in this cabinet, there's all kinds of utilization going on the operating systems that are over there. So what the virtualized environment can do is it can literally migrate operating systems from one cabinet to another. These types of amazing capabilities in virtualized networks, as you might guess, are really helping to drive designs. By the way, another great example when it comes to the power of virtualization is what if the operating systems in this cabinet come under attack? So we're having computer attackers attack these systems. Again, the systems could be migrated to other areas in the infrastructure, and this is really, really information technology in the 21st century. Now, something else that really tends to drive modern network designs is just the overall growth of really exciting, what we call mission critical applications. There are amazingly powerful applications now in the area of customer service. There's amazingly powerful applications for sales. There's amazingly intense HR applications. There's remarkable finance applications. You get the idea. The list goes on and on of exciting new application areas for organizations, and oftentimes organizations discover that they need to tweak the network design in order to accommodate these applications. Now, here's an area that influences network designs that might be near and dear to your heart. If you're in an information technology department, you probably recognize one or all 3 of these challenges. The first, money. Yeah, the budget. We need this brand new application right away, so your network has to feature this level of latency right away. Get it done. And oh, by the way, we have no money. There's no additional money for this particular project. Best of luck. Yeah, budgets are a huge concern, especially when we're in those times of recession or great recession or depression. Another factor is expertise. We want to roll out the very best of services and the very best of applications to our employees and to management, But we want to make sure that the IT department has individuals that are well trained in how to deliver on those services and applications and keep them running in a way where they are two things: highly available, meaning they're actually there, and highly reliable, meaning they're functioning the way they're supposed to function. Thank goodness for companies like CBT Nuggets, because with CBT Nuggets, of course, we are making the number one focus on employees efficiently gaining the expertise they need to implement and to design functional, highly available, highly reliable networks. How about silos? Well, what we mean by this buzz term is the information technology department can really start to segregate itself much too dramatically. You've got server people, and the server people say, we're the server people, and we don't want to talk to the wireless people. The wireless people, all they do is give us problems. And the wireless people don't want to talk to those really strange guys and girls in the data center. And the people in the data center have no idea what's going on with the voice over IP people. So your information technology department can become really siloed. And what we want instead, of course, is we want all of these groups to be able to work together very well in order to accommodate the business needs of the organization. Now, since Cisco is such a giant in the networking industry, and they are going to be responsible for so many of our designs and implementations, we should probably look at where they are heading when it comes to designing networks. Cisco is really emphasizing something that we talked about earlier, and that's borderless networking. One of the things that happens with borderless networking is not only does someone want to be able to accomplish their work from anywhere, but they also want to do what's called BYOD. Now, I've heard of BYOB, but what is BYOD? It's bring your own device. Yeah, bring your own device, meaning you want to be able to accomplish work no matter where you are, but you also want to be able to do it on your iPad, on your Android tablet, on your iPhone, on your Google phone, on your Galaxy device. It doesn't matter what device you're using, doesn't matter where you are, you want to be productive. Can you imagine the impact that this has on network security? Can you imagine the impact that this has on reliability of network services? Because now you have to worry about securing this information across all these different devices, and you have to make sure that the applications perform properly on all these different devices. So, borderless networking, a tremendous area of challenge, a driving force that Cisco recognizes and has really been working on lately. Cisco also focuses now on the data center, specifically that virtualization inside the data center that we were speaking of earlier. So they want a highly modular, highly available, highly reliable, and highly virtualized data center environment for organizations of any size. And I want to emphasize that. When it comes to data center technologies, Cisco wants to be able to provide a design option for an organization that might be massive, like Google, but they also want to be able to provide virtualized data center technologies for small growing businesses. And again, they want to make them modular so that the organization can just keep adding on to the data solution and scale how much data they are storing very easily. Finally, the other area of focus that we've noticed with Cisco systems lately is collaboration. As you probably know, Cisco went out and acquired a little company called WebEx. And one of the reasons Cisco made this acquisition was because they wanted to really emphasize team members getting together from wherever they are in the borderless network and being able to conduct training sessions and marketing sessions and really just collaborate on ideas that can take the business forward. A key aspect of collaboration for Cisco, as you might guess, is things like voice over IP and video over IP. And these are integrated right into solutions like WebEx. Another key terminology here under this area of collaboration that you may have heard is telepresence, where we can go ahead and have that what used to be considered futuristic dialogue with a coworker where we're both looking at each other. Yeah, this used to be done, of course, on the Star Trek Enterprise, right? Captain Kirk would sit down in the bridge and he would talk to the Klingons and they would be looking at each other as they're having this dialogue. And this looked futuristic to us when we were kids. But now, of course, this is commonplace in Cisco collaboration designs. Now, of course, it's really easy to get more information on these major areas of focus from Cisco Systems via their website. In fact, this is pretty funny. No, I don't think I'll chat right now. No thanks. So notice that Cisco will organize their website and their products and solutions on these major initiatives. So here we can see Cisco has a whole area of their site dedicated to none other than collaboration. We can go there and we can say, hey, what are the current products and solutions that you are utilizing when it comes to collaboration, Cisco? And Cisco says, okay, well, we have this area called unified communications. This is that voice and video over IP area. We have an area dedicated to customer collaboration where customers can chat with each other and have all kinds of unique engagement opportunities with each other over the network, and specific applications that we've geared around collaboration. And of course, as you can see, a growing area of Cisco's collaboration efforts is in telepresence, where we have that just ease of having meetings where we can visually see each other and we can be located anywhere in the world attending that particular event. Now, we want to be thinking in terms of success as we implement a network design or a network enhancement. How would we measure success? Well, here are 6 common areas that we would use to measure the success of a design. Let's keep these in mind as we design to make sure we're successful. Does it work? Yeah, not a bad idea, right? To ask this question, does the network actually do what it is set out to do? Is it scalable? Does the network easily adjust when we add large numbers of users? If we have set up a telepresence collaborative initiative in our network design and it's to accommodate 10 people, but our organization quickly gets hooked on this new technology and we're told that we have to accommodate 50 people, 5 times the original amount, how easy is it for us to tweak the network, to re-engineer and redesign portions of the network to accommodate those new users? That is scalability. Availability. We talked about this earlier. Availability is often measured with the 5-9 scale. In other words, it used to be perfect if your network was available 99.999% of the time. But nowadays, companies are striving for even greater availability. They talk in terms of 7 nines and 8 nines of availability. So this is another measure of how successful your design is. How often are those services and those applications actually there? Performance. I often term performance as reliability, but whether you call it reliability or whether you call it performance, it all comes down to, is the network behaving at or above its baseline of performance. If you promised people that they could make these telepresence calls and that they would be just like sitting in a room across from another individual, does the end user experience actually reflect that? Is the network reliably performing up to expectations? Another great metric for the success of your design is manageability. How easy is it to manage the network that you have designed? Is it an absolute nightmare, or is it borderless? Can you literally be anywhere, anytime on any device and perform management of the network that's been constructed? What a clever idea that would be to extend the concept of borderless networking to you managing your own network. And finally, the last metric that we would typically use to measure our design effectiveness is efficiency. How overall efficient is your network design? Did you get a lot accomplished with very little additional overhead into the functioning of the network? Did you get a lot of accomplished without a huge additional investment when it came to your network design? So these are some excellent ideas for design metrics that can really, if you keep them in mind as you design, really have you design something special. So in this nugget on the CCDA series, we really took a look at trends that are really driving our network designs today. We talked about business drivers, things like the importance of a return on investment or governmental regulations. We talked about technology drivers, things like borderless networking and virtualization. We visited painfully the challenges that IT departments face, like shrinking budgets and a lack of expertise, and how we kind of silo the IT department and it's tough to get people to work together. We examined the areas of focus for Cisco, things like collaboration and the data center and virtualization. And another huge area that Cisco focuses on is that borderless networking area. And finally, we wrapped up by taking a look at metrics that we can easily use to gauge the overall effectiveness of our network design. I hope this has been informative for you, and I'd like to thank you for viewing.